Thank you. Welcome back to The Laundry List. My name's Todd, and I am your host for The Laundry List.
Oh, hey, Todd.
Guess what? Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's a beautiful day out here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We are living the dream, and we are happy because that's our purpose in life, is to be happy and experience the happiness in this life. Blake, Charles, Soraya, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
You're full of shit. You had a flat tire. You're having like the worst day ever. You're like, oh, I'm doing great. Yeah. So I'm glad you're on the laundry list. We got a lot to talk about. Blake, Charles, you want to give an honest answer?
Well, Mom's currently in the hospital, been there for 3 weeks, but she's like, you have to go save lives today with the podcast.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's good.
Yeah. Your mom is all about other people.
She is.
I've known your mom a long time, and she is all about, helping others and being there for other people. She's just your definition of like sweet, loving, compassionate.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it.
No anger in that woman.
She is something special, and we hope she recovers here soon.
Yeah. And Blake?
I'm doing all right. I'm finally coming out of the fog. I feel like just looking back on some memories over the last year, and it's like I felt like all summer I was in a fog, and now I'm finally kind of finding some peace. So it's good.
Good. Well, I think we're going to name this podcast Guaranteed Happiness. How about that? We're going to tell our listeners today how to be happy, guaranteed,
yeah.
or 100% refund for their misery.
Yeah, we'll refund your misery.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah. So guaranteed happiness, or we'll refund your misery, or a $500 gift card to Amazon. Your choice. So
with referrals to Core Roofing.
Yeah, whatever you guys want. All right, before we get too deep in it, you just got us today. We don't have a special guest, but we really appreciated Ashley, our last guest.
Barb was our last guest.
Barbara? Oh, Barb was our last guest. Yeah, Barb Wallen, who is a good friend and owns that spa. Is it Barbara Wallen?
No, it's not Barbara Wallen yet. She's working on it. She's making her moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting the wedding already. Okay. Anyway, before I say anything else that I'm going to get corrected for, Charles, you want to kick us off to the laundry list, which is some of the traits and the reason we're here to talk about them.
I like it. So these 14 here, this is for guaranteed misery.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Guaranteed miserable existence. I know because we've all lived them. But the first one is we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. Number 2, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. 3, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. 4, we either became alcoholics, marry them, or both, or find another compulsive personality such as a workaholic to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. 5, we live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. Number 6, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults. 7, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. 8, we became addicted to excitement. 9, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and ultimately rescue. 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. And that's also known as denial. 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment and will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order not to experience those painful abandonment feelings which we received from living with sick people who were never there emotionally for us. 13, alcoholism is a family disease, and we became para-alcoholics, also known as codependents, and took on the characteristics of that disease even though we never picked up a drink. And finally, para-alcoholics, also codependents, are reactors rather than actors. Yeah. Now, let's talk about some guaranteed happiness.
Yeah, thank you for that, Charles. So that's the laundry list. That's the shit you don't want. And if you got it, we got a guaranteed way to get out of it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I know we've talked a lot about the way to mastery, some of the 12-step programs we do. We've talked about Anthony DeMello. I've been digging this new woman that Ashley actually referred me to, sent me some of her YouTube videos, and her name is Sister Shivani. So you can check her out on YouTube or Instagram. Sister Shivani. I call her the modern day Tony DeMello. Father DeMello was kind of big in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Actually died, I think, in the early 80s. But this Sister Shivani is like, I call her the new DeMello. And, she talks about how anything that disturbs your happiness is only within you. It's not with anybody else. And it's not in reality. It's not really happening. It's only in your mind that you're making it happen. Because what might bother you has no effect on me. And what bothers Soraya might have no effect on you. So we could prove that it's not in reality, that it's within one's mind. So like, how do we deal with that? I mean, for me, it's like meditation, just spending 30 minutes focusing on meditation, focusing on God and the light coming down. It's writing a gratitude list. It's going out for a walk without your phone. It's calling a friend and asking if there's anything you can do to help them out. So like, we have all these tools to get us out of what we perceive to be a very unhappy, a hurtful situation. But we think the hurt is in reality or within another person, but really it's within us. It's not in reality or the other person. It's within us. Mm-hmm. So I figured out all these tools where I could either feel sorry for myself, feel anger towards someone else, or think that there's a situation that's really causing me unhappiness. Or I could say, okay, I'm feeling a little discombobulated, a little unbalanced, a little anger, sadness, whatever it is. And I'm going to do one of these 10 things to get me out of it. I mean, if you guys, experience some anxiety, sadness, anger in your relationships where you're feeling a little stuck, and what are some of the things you guys do? I mean, I told you about, like, I do meditation. I'll take my dog for an hour walk without my phone. I'll talk to God. I'll talk to friends that have passed on or family members that have passed on. I'll talk to friends and just like stay upbeat. I'll call my therapist, and I'll remember I don't want to feed the uneasy feeling of sadness, anger, dis-ease or unhappiness. I want to feed the happiness side. So how do I do that? A lot of times, we hear in our programs, fake it till you can make it, or act as if. And I remember the first time I heard that, I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
That's not going to work. And if you knew what I was going through, you would understand that can happen.
Yeah. You don't understand my situation. And after 24 years of being sober and having lots of advice thrown at me, I can tell you, acting as if and fake it till you can make it really works. It really does. It's like, I'm going to put a smile on my face. I'm going to tell everyone in my mind I love them when I see them. I'm going to ask them if I can help them. Even though I feel like shit, I'm angry. I want to hurt somebody. I want to just scream at everybody on the road. Yeah. And I'm going to do the opposite. I'm literally going to do the opposite. I'm going to tell everyone I love them in my mind. Yeah. I'm going to ask people if I can help them. I'm going to write a gratitude list. I'm going to connect with God. And it's amazing how all that shit just goes away.
Yeah. And I for me, the turning point, fake it till you make it. But I had someone say, hey, why don't you pray for that person that you're angry and upset with? And I was like, what? No, they did me wrong. And they said all these, they're screwing me. They did all these things. They really hurt me. And he's like, yeah, just pray for him. And when you do that, you take all the power away of, all those, unhappy feelings, and you get kind of in that happiness. You get free of that. Yeah.
And Sister Shivani, who I just mentioned, talks a lot about that, about praying for other people. She phrases it differently. She's like sending them healing energy and healing thoughts, because in her mind, and what she says is that everything we think is energy. So even if we don't say it, I mean, clearly if we say it, it's energy, but if we think it in our thoughts, that's energy. So if we're sending someone positive energy, it actually can be it could be watched and verified and captured in a way in metaphysics, that in quantum physics, where we show that energy being transmitted to somebody else.
Yeah.
So if you're praying for someone else and wishing them well and hoping that they get love and peace and healing and abundance and God's blessings, if you're constantly doing that, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah.
Like if so-and-so gets better, as long as I'm happy, it's cool, whatever.
Because at the end of the day, our egos and consciousness create this selfish part of us that we just want happiness.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like when we're born, I think we are just connected to God when we're born. And literally from day one, it's like the separation of God and us starts because we're looking for approval. We're looking for food from our mom. We're looking for a blanket to stay warm. Like from the time we're born to the time we are died in this body, it's like reinforcing separation. But by sending those healing messages and those prayers, it's like we're reminding ourselves that we're all the same. Because if I'm praying for somebody else, guess what? Why do I feel better? Well, I feel better because we're all connected and we're all the same. Mm-hmm. So I'm praying for the other person, but really I'm praying for myself.
Yeah.
But we're all the same. We just have different masks on, different suits on, different egos. But at the end of the day, we're all the same. We're all connected. And I mean, I don't know what you do, Charles, when you start getting unglued. I've seen you lately where, God, you used to look like you were turning purple. Your energy level was through the roof. And now when you're going through stressful situations like with your mom and business, and you just seem to have a calm about you. So what are you doing to create a peace, inside of you that's new?
Yeah. So there's 4 parts to that, and praying for the people or turning my thoughts over to someone else is part 4. But first thing, how we opened up the show, Todd, about how it's what I make it, right? It's the energy or what I give, whatever the situation is. And what happens if majority of them are complete delusion, right? Fantasy. Mark Twain, we all love Mark Twain. For those listening, there's a famous quote from him that says, "My life was filled with sorrow, tragedy, and despair, of which 95% never occurred." Mm-hmm. And I love to identify with that so much, right? So my problems truly are of my own making, especially when they're rooted in delusion and fantasy. I look back at the things that were ailing me the most, and they never were as bad as they seemed. And one of the things that we all probably share of the other adult children that are listening in is that we make regular day things life-threatening situations. I know that I've done that my entire life. If I was getting into just the simplest form of argument with a wife or with a friend, that was the end of the relationship, right? It was like, this is the relationship coming to a complete end. And where does that root from? That roots from the abandonment issues early on, right?
And those feelings are not pleasant that you have to deal with, right? The panic, the abandonment, oh fuck, I'm not gonna be okay. I can't live without this person. What do I need to do to fix it?
Correct. Like, so if you're mad at me, Todd, I would historically treat that like, this is like, we're breaking up. It's over. This is the end of the relationship. And I never appropriately judge situations correctly, both in a good way or over exaggerating or under exaggerating things that actually were important. Right. And I think that's the fears based in there. But the tool for me is, one, is this even real? Is it even that big of a deal, or is it just me making it a big deal? And when I just sit in that for a second, it never is that big of a deal. It really isn't. None of this really matters, right? We have real life problems, right? Like one of them we're dealing right now with my mother. That's a real life problem. Anything else I feel can be handled with one of 4 things. Well, the first is identifying what it is that's bothering me, right? Am I scared? Have I been selfish? Have I been dishonest? Do I have a resentment against someone? It's usually one of those 4 things that I'm feeling. And then the second thing is, which I've learned through all of the different recovery, it's all God and service based, right? So I then ask God to remove whatever that is at once. Hey, God, I'm scared right now. Take that away. Todd, I do this. I have to imagine at least a dozen times a day.
Wow.
My default is to be afraid of authority figures or more importantly, angry people, right? My default is to create chaos, right? And it usually stems from one of those 4 things. So then after I ask God, hey, God, I'm scared, take this fear away, right? I've been doing that almost every day with the situation with my mom. And then ultimately I realize that everything's happened how it's supposed to, and that fear will go away. And then before I can go pray for someone, I have to make sure that my part with them is totally fucking clear, like cleared up. You know what I mean? Like I have to make sure that my part isn't lingering, that my damage from my perspective, or as they say, my side of the street is clean. And then so that's the next thing, right? I need to make an amends, or I need to quickly do something to make it right. Like, so let's say I'm on the phone with you, tell you a lie that's going to make me uncomfortable. It could potentially harm the relationship. I need to clear up where I was dishonest or where I'd been selfish. And then finally, once I'm clear, so I'm good with God now and I understand what it is that's bothering me, if I've truly been offended, then I do turn my thoughts to someone else, and that's either service or praying for them. And Blake, I'm with you. I remember the first time that Jimmy said, hey, why don't you go try praying for her? Like, what are you talking about?
Are you insane?
Did you just not hear everything I told you?
Yeah.
Wait, pay attention.
This guy's not listening.
At his house, it costs long. Yeah, just go ahead and pray for him.
I want him to tell me, hey, hire an attorney. You know,
Yes,
I got
exactly.
someone who could slash her tires.
Yes.
And now we're praying for her to have healing and blessings and love. And
then he hits you. Well, what's your part in it?
Yeah, well, before we get to praying for her, it's like we have to make sure that we understand what my part is. So pray for her. Yeah, you were not listening to you're worthless. And then, of course, well, my first thought is, okay, I pray that someone runs her over right fucking now. Someone please get her back. Come on, karma.
And by the way, those feelings, thoughts, and emotions and behavior is going to create such karmic chaos in your life
completely.
that someone's going to hit your car.
Yeah,
you're going to get a lump in your.
You're going to get a DUI.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all this bad shit's going to happen with those negative thoughts.
Well, that's where I was going with that. It's more than just praying for them. It's praying for them. The thing for them, what I would want for myself. Right. So I'm praying for them to get
proof that we're all connected. We're all one. We're all the same. You know, when I make amends to someone and I apologize for some bad behavior I do to you or you, which I do all the time. Like I am not shy about apologizing. I apologized to you today because I thought I hung up on you too quickly when we were talking and I pressed it end. Sometimes I keep my finger on the end.
That's so standard for you.
Know?
It's like,
I'm like pressing end.
This morning.
Yeah. I did hurt your feelings?
No.
Oh, but like when I apologize, it's really, I'm apologizing to myself so I don't feel shame, blame, judgment, criticism, because when I do something to someone else, yes, I would love for that person to have a clear energy with me, but I'm also trying to avoid feeling blame, shame, criticism, negative self-thoughts about myself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want to feel good about myself. And if I want to feel good about myself, I got to be clean with everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I start feeling that anger towards my dad or a business partner or anybody, I need to send them positive energy.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think when you get in a habit of praying for other people, like when something does happen, I instantly go like, hey, I wonder what he must be going through a lot right now.
Bingo.
And once you get to that place where whatever comes at you and it's a place coming from a place of genuinely like whatever they must be really going through something. And I have compassion and empathy for them. It's like, you can't have other people impact your happiness. And I've been kind of doing some thinking of when was I in my life closest to God? And I think back to going to Brophy and being in high school and senior year, feeling like super connected to a higher power. And I'm reinstituted something where every day we used to do something called the Daily Examine. And they've been doing that at Brophy even when you were there, where it's three.
I don't remember it, but I'm also old.
It's 3 questions, and it's how is God at work in your life? How have I responded to God's presence in my life? And how am I being called to respond now? So it's the daily reflection based on, and both DeMello and the
Sister Shivani,
they're big in the, Jesuit kind of principles and practices. And it's like, the quicker that you can realize like, how is God in presence in my life and how am I being called to respond now? And for me, it's like, the sending good energy and praying for other people and, realizing like, hey, if somebody cuts me off in traffic, like they might have just had their wife call them and say that she has cancer. Like you don't even know. Right. So if you just come from that place of like empathy and,
it's getting out of self. So if I can get to a position where I start thinking what maybe they have something that's going on, I'm out of self.
Yeah.
Because all of this toxicity and sickness is me being in self, right? Making things that have nothing to do with me, having to do with me. It's such a selfish act.
Yeah. And you have once you start thinking like that, you have no idea what like people are going through in this life.
I drove
no idea. And then it gives me gratitude. Like, hey, I'm not,
out of self, feeling better.
Yeah, feeling better.
I drove to California this last week, and I'm not a great driver, and I'm very distracted. And I've cut people off. I slammed my brakes. So I had a few people that got pretty irate with me, and one guy was like out of the window honking and screaming and yelling. Like this guy wanted to take me down. And typically I would get so riled up at that. Like I would turn around and be like, all right, you want to get out of the car?
Yeah.
And now I just like literally just like sent him love through my thoughts and mind and just kept going. And in my mind, even apologizing for maybe some bad driving or behavior, where in the past, I would have got so riled up. And it's that same feeling in my body I had when I was 6 years old, when I was in trouble.
Yeah.
When I was being yelled at by my mom or dad and I was in serious shit and I was feeling the pain in my body and my whole vibration was shaking with anxiety and fear. It's the same thing when I get riled up and someone cuts me off and wants to like get out of the car. It's the same feeling. So why would I want to recreate that? That's a shitty fucking feeling.
It is.
So I want to do the opposite of creating that feeling, which was I sent these guys, healing, loving energy. I didn't respond, but it's exactly right. I've like, you never know what someone's going through, and if we could have love and compassion for them as if they were going through something really hard, guess what? We will give ourselves love and compassion when we're going through something very difficult, like with your mom and what I've been going through recently. And it's like, we don't need to beat ourselves up. We do that well enough. Like we don't need to keep doing that. Yeah. We need to give ourselves love, compassion, and kindness. My new motto has been forgiveness, love, and kindness. Yeah. I'm actually getting that tattooed on my other pec next to my new tat, which I love so much.
I hope your mom doesn't listen to this podcast.
Mom, disregard that. We were just kidding.
It's washable. Don't get mad at Todd, please.
It's henna.
Don't get mad at him.
We're supposed to be our true selves in this podcast, unless your 80-year-old mom's listening. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing how this stuff we learned has created such balance, healing, like you said, coming out of the fog, and just not talking shit about other people. Like even talking shit about other people and gossiping, I've noticed for me, it's like I get uncomfortable. Literally, Alex and I were talking about it this week in Palm Springs and Laguna. It's like when we hear people gossiping, we were like, how much energy would it take for us to say, that person's probably going through something really hard right now. Let's pray for them right now. Let's send them positive energy, instead of jumping on the character assassination bandwagon and continue to just bash them. Because it's so natural to want to jump it on, right? Because we're human beings, we're packs, we're in a herd, we're in a flock. Like it's for us to speak out of the flock, out of the herd. We're like the black sheep. Like, wait, this guy's not on board. Wait, this person's not on board. I thought we were talking about this person because they're so full of shit or so, angry or, we were feeding the jealousy and the envy. And now we're going to say, let's pray for this person. Everyone's going to look at us like, geez.
Yeah. And it's so funny when you see that stuff like in action the other way. Like we have a mutual friend, and he sent an email that was complete boldface untrue. And it's like, it came right back and bit him right in the face. And then he had an opportunity to get honest, and he felt way better about it.
Oh, right.
Right. Like,
yeah, but it takes like, a lot of swallowing your pride.
You got to be like, oh yeah, I completely made that up. I just wanted to seem cool. And it's like,
right. Yeah.
And the guy probably liked him even more because of it. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
being honest and praying for other people. I've had some people get angry at me the last couple of weeks through text, through voice, through other people telling me they're angry at me. And you know what I did? I just prayed for him and kept sending him positive energy. And I don't feel any ill will or harm towards these people, but they might still be upset. But again, I've done my part, and I could keep doing it. I could also keep doing it.
And their opinion of you is none of your business.
And I could do it for people that are deceased. Like my grandparents, on one side of my parents, were not the nicest people. They were sort of cold and judgmental and critical. And I could pray for them now. And it's amazing how I see them in a different light. And they've been dead for 35, 40 years. And I can still like send them positive energy. And it's like, I look at them differently now than when they were alive because I've sent them such healing and loving energy. They're actually more fun to talk to now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's amazing how this stuff works. So yeah, I encourage you to listen to Sister Shivani. She's phenomenal and funny. She has a personality. She was on Tony Robbins in the last month, and that's how I found her, through Ashley. But since then, I've gone to YouTube and listened to a ton of her stuff. And she is like a modern day Mother Teresa with sort of a funny tilt to her. So I really like her. But Soraya, what are you doing these days to get out of a funk and staying positive and staying loving and healing towards yourself?
Well, towards myself, I mean, I'm still just painting. I take all of my stresses out on my painting, on my crafts. Right now, I'm making a disco ball chandelier for no other reason than because it's fun. But as far as like issues that I have with other people, one, I remember the first time Blake said pray for him when I was mad at someone. I about lost it.
Yeah, you just doubled your anger.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm learning clear communication and empathy really is the way to go to solve my emotional problems. So if I'm upset with someone and I know that I can come to a resolution, like I'm irrationally upset, but I also am aware that I'm irrationally upset. So I take my moment and I panic. And I've learned to just have clear, calm communication with people. And if that doesn't work for them, then best wishes, seriously. But empathy is a big one. As you're all aware, I have road rage pretty bad. But I've been really working on it because I acknowledge that I do have a problem and it's not that serious. There is no reason that I need to be that upset that somebody is driving 45 in a 45.
So how do you deal with the road rage now? How do you diffuse that and create a safe, peaceful environment?
Yeah, I can think of several different scenarios in which I've been a bad driver and definitely worse than them. And they're just people. It's acknowledging that whoever's driving, the person behind the wheel, is a person just like me. It's that empathy for the other person. Like they probably just made an innocent mistake. They just were too close to my car when they merged over. It happens. It's not a big deal.
That's a great place to practice patience and love and tolerance and empathy is on the road for sure. Because if nothing's bothering you on the road at all, that's a person I want to hang out with.
Right.
If everything's bothering you, at a restaurant, in a 12-step meeting.
It's so unattractive.
You know, it's like that energy, even if they don't say anything, just their energy is not something I want to be around.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know, and it's like, I look at like my wife, Alex, like I love being around her, even if we're not talking. We can go 2 hours without talking and her just sitting there. It's a calm, it's a peaceful, it's a loving energy. But there's other people that we not talk for 2 hours and I'm sitting next to them. I'm feeling uneasy. I'm feeling discomfort. I'm feeling judged. And so again, proving energy is real. Like, you know, without saying something, energy is real. And I want to come off as that energy is like, oh, that guy's got a calming, loving, peaceful energy when he walks in a room. You know, I used to walk in a room and want everyone to laugh and everybody to say how great I am. And
all eyes on you.
All eyes on me, you know, and it's like, let's make it about me. Okay. Now what do you think about me and all that stuff? And now it's like, that energy is not attractive, you know? And I see that in other people. And it's like, there's something about real humility, you know, real humility with people that are truly, truly happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's study those people. Let's study those people. I mean, do we really think Sister Shivani, Mother Teresa, all these people that got famous worldwide, like really give a shit about getting more money or getting more accolades? No, not at all. They're not buying a jet. They're not buying.
And it's like, and I think maybe it was something you sent me from her where it's like, you can be as happy as you want to be right now. And like that, like, and if you truly live, and I'm really trying on, I'm not perfect, like living in the moment and just being present. Cause I look back in pictures from a year ago, 2 years ago, and I'm like, I don't even remember being there. Yeah. Like that's how like disassociated I was to like everything. Like I don't even like, I see these pictures because we were reminiscing at this wedding of like some stuff we did. And I'm like, I wasn't there. And they're like, yeah, you're in this picture. And I was like, damn, it's because I was so future looking, and you know, you're always looking for more, always looking like, hey, if I do this, then this will happen. And then I can do this. And, you know, then I'll get the jet. And it's like,
yeah, when you're not present, you're not going to remember what you're doing.
And it's no happiness.
I mean, I was in Capri for a week and I was out of my mind in a health anxiety. I literally remember zero from that trip. Zero.
Not present.
And I'm in like the prettiest place on earth. And I don't remember one thing because I was so involved in fear, anxiety, and future tripping.
Yeah. And it's amazing when you stay in the present and just do what's right in front of you.
So blissful.
How it all works out. Like, it's like amazing how like, you're like, you couldn't have figured this out, but you and your HP just doing the next right thing and staying in the moment, it all kind of unfolds and it all kind of becomes beautiful.
You know, one of my favorite quotes by Abraham Lincoln is, "You can be as happy as you make your mind up to be."
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Abraham Lincoln used to always say that to his staff, and he's like, "You can be as happy as you make your mind up to be." I mean, it's literally that simple. Do you decide today to be happy? Okay, then you're going to be happy. Nothing's going to bother you. If you decide today that you got aches and the bank account's low and everyone's bothering you and you got road rage, you got no shot at being happy. So it's like, we can be as happy as we make our mind up to be. Such a simple quote, but so much power and strength in that quote. You know, so much power and strength.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me with the being in the moment and staying present is I have officially been off social media for 2 weeks today.
Wow.
And it's like you don't need
there.
No, I wasn't doing it for approval, but like the amount of freedom and like anxiety going away, because it's like I'm not trying to
talk about that. Why?
Well, because the social media, I was looking at, Bo Roth is on a jet to, the Maldives.
Okay. So
and
compare
and despair, but like also just like trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to keep people to think you're cool and posting things to get a reaction, or not posting something and not getting a reaction. And it's just, it's all that, whether you're looking at stuff that happened in the past or posting stuff about, the future, you're not in the moment. Right. Like all that social media does is, for me at least, takes me away from being present, sitting here with you.
Right.
Or, at home with my wife. It's just, it's a complete numbing of
it's like
your
drinking.
life.
It's like
it's like, drinking
or using.
It's like, you're just trying to take something to alter the way that you're feeling.
And I watch people that come into a room that are uneasy and anxious and nervous and fearful, and they are so attached to their phone.
Yeah.
And I do it. Like when I'm in a room and I'm like starting to feel uneasy and starting to feel like,
or like the fake phone call.
Right.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? Well, it's just like everyone said today. Let's just face it. Let's just be real. Let's be authentic. And if you really want to be real, you could say, I'm feeling a little scared right now. I'm feeling a little uneasy, a little nervous. Yeah. I just want to put that out there and let you guys know. And it's amazing how much empathy and love you'll get back, instead of being like, oh yeah, what'd you say?
You're saying,
what'd you say?
Yeah. And I always tell now, like, cause I don't do it. I just look at people. I'm like, holy phone zone. Like you're like, holy phone zone. Cause they're like completely zoned out of life. And it's like, it's no different than, somebody doing, hardcore drugs to change the way that they feel to get out of their, reality. Because they're not choosing, like we say, choosing happiness.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just, again, we figured out a lot of good addictions to zone out and just check out of life. Drugs and alcohol, sex, money, judgment. I mean, we have a lot of them. Yeah. Right. And the new one in the last 10 years is for sure social media.
Yeah.
And screens. I'll just call them screens in general. So I think just noticing that, and I've been off social media for a while too, and I haven't been on porn in over a year. And it's amazing how just present I will be and how I feel my feelings now. I feel my feelings, and I can deal with that. Like when I feel my feelings and I start to feel uneasy, sad, anger, melancholy, whatever it is, I have tools to deal with it. I can go sit and listen to YouTube for an hour. I can go close my eyes and meditate. I could pray for other people. I can call someone and say, hey, you need any help? Yeah.
And it's just, for me, I just have way more time with my mind to be, whether it's in meditation or, seeking a higher power of my understanding or whatever it might be, or just like, even just sitting and being with my own thoughts and being like, for the first time in a while, like, what is my purpose on earth? And like all that stuff kind of flooding back because I don't have social media that I'm looking at, this person that I haven't talked to in 6 years and idolizing, what they're doing instead of just being in the moment. So,
yeah. I think it's super healthy. Even though I told Soraya today to start blowing up our social media on the laundry list, even though I won't be listening or watching it,
guaranteed happiness.
Like, we want users and we want listeners because we think there might be something on this podcast that might help you. And I know it's helped us. So, it's one of those things where I think there is useful stuff. I mean, I'm on YouTube getting great content all the time.
Yeah, it's the only one I still have.
I need to put in positive spiritual content.
Yeah.
If I'm watching Law and Order and playing aggressive video games before I go to bed and like checking all my texts and emails right before I go to bed and like making my to-do list for the morning before I go to bed, guess what? I'm going to bed like with just like a jungle in my brain. Like I'm not peaceful. I'm not, I want to go to bed with a couple hours of just like peace and quiet and just serene feeling and not having anything to think about or emotion and just be like chill. Mm-hmm. And so like, I haven't been watching TV before I go to bed. I haven't been checking my phone before I go to bed. And it's amazing how like even just doing that, I sleep better. I dream better. I remember my dreams. My dreams have been crazy lately. And, that's something we probably should talk about at some point in our podcast on how the subconscious mind helps heal the conscious mind and
lucid dreaming.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So anything else, guys, before we kind of wrap up? I know we're playing pickleball Thursday.
We are.
I'm very excited about. Charles and got me hooked on pickleball. So I've been playing. I only use Proton paddles. Best paddle
Proton
in the world.
He's got a custom line coming, the Belfer Signature Series. It's coming out.
Yeah, the probably top spin velocity out there. And I'm going pro, going on tour.
Where can you watch Law and Order? That's the one thing I'm.
What do you mean? Every single channel.
It's on what's USA Today or USA Network.
It's literally right now on 5 channels.
They'll play Law and Order from 8 at night.
I bought 23 seasons, so I probably spent
that's SVU.
The
SVU, right?
Yeah,
SVU. Special Victims Unit.
Yeah, it's incredible.
She's the highest paid TV actress.
Okay. I see
that.
That's how little I know about television.
She's been on it from day one.
Yeah, 24 seasons.
Yeah,
wow.
It's and she's now exec producer on it with Wolf, but it's unbelievable. It's literally, but I can't watch it. Again, it's violence. Like I can't watch it. I'm literally not watching any violent shows.
Yeah.
It's just not good for me, and it's not good for my brain. It's not good for my peace.
My perplexity for violence when I'm not in a happy place is next level.
Yeah. It takes you to the next.
Like the things that I'll think of, like when I'm angry and I'm not in happiness and I'm not praying for others, is like, I'm going to tie you up, put you in my trunk. I'm going to drive you out to the desert,
take care of business.
So
you're going to watch like Pulp Fiction or something like that when you're really jacked up.
Yeah.
And you can do that for a week.
Go into a manic episode.
Do that for a week straight and compare that to the stuff on this podcast we're talking about and see where you're at.
I think the one thing that I'm saying, and I'll ask you guys to kind of do some research and think if I'm crazy or not, but I'm going to do, Aaron Rodgers made it big about doing darkness retreats. So my whole thing it's a 4-day darkness retreat, no light. You're in a cabin and there's no stimulant from the outside world whatsoever. So all you're there is with you and your thoughts,
your mind. Yeah.
And your mind. And it's all about getting good with yourself. Cause when you can get good with yourself, everything else on the outside world is easy.
Now that sounds amazing to me, except I would want it in bright, bright, bright light. So I would want someone to put me in a box with a massive bright light shining down, because honestly, this is true. Like when I look at that light and I close my eyes, I feel the presence of God.
Yeah.
Darkness scares me.
Yeah. I think
I've been killed in many, many scenes in past lives in like darkness.
Yeah. But I'm exploring it. I think I'm going to do it.
Where are you going to do it at?
They're up in on the Oregon coast is where they have these things, and
hopefully they come get you. That's probably going to enter your mind. Well, fuck, what if they don't? What if they forget about me?
But I mean apparently,
I feel like that was a torture method. No,
but apparently, like you come out into the light and you have like
awareness.
You have awareness, and like the videos that I've seen of people coming out of these darkness retreats, it's like they're like brought to like physical emotion of like tears,
right?
And it looks pretty powerful. So
yeah, I'll just do a 2-hour meditation and I'll be brought to tears. And it's like, I can't imagine 4 days of just with you, God, and your,
I mean, you can come out whenever you want.
Yeah.
Is what they say. I mean, I don't know if they actually lock you in there.
Yeah. My button's not working. What's going on here?
Eat in the dark, Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, I am a big proponent of self-reflection and solitude. And, I was gone for a week with my wife, which I really enjoyed being with her. But boy, I really missed my solitude where I could just go in my backyard for a couple hours by myself.
Yeah.
And
cold plunge.
Yeah. Just reflect and be with nature. But anyway, please email us, text us, call us.
Don't call or text us.
Don't call or text us. All right.
I mean, you can call or text
laundry
us.
list. I don't know.
We'll give Sarai's phone number out.
Yeah,
It'll be in the description.
Yeah.
But you can email us.
Yeah, you can absolutely email us. Our email is thelaundrylistpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, have you as a guest. Just send us an email.
Yeah, we got room in April and May for some guests, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Please leave reviews. Let us know how we're doing on wherever you get your podcast, and tell other people that are doing podcasts that we would love to be on their show, and we'd love them to come on our show. I think we're something like 5,000 listeners now, and we're touching a lot of people. So if you got something to comment, add, or just, talk to us about, please contact us, let us know, and we will see you next week on The Laundry List. Have a great week, and please be nice to my friend today.